So, the next thing I want to talk to you about is classroom management. And I feel like that's one of those things that is ever changing, especially right now with the lockdowns and then the virtual schooling and then the not and then the back and the quarantines. I feel as if I'm learning classroom management all over again, and I'm having to rethink my pacing, rethink my instruction. Um, and just kind of revisit a lot of things that had become second nature from being a veteran teacher. So that's part of the reason for me wanting to do this video is or doing this presentation is that it's something I really wanted to spend some time thinking about and reflecting on, and then kind of sharing what I've learned in the process. So, classroom management seating is super important to me in the art classroom. Now, in PE, may not be as important because you're not sitting or music, but there are times our music teacher has numbers on her floor, vinyl numbers where the kids are to sit on their vinyl number, just kind of give them their dedicated space. We've seen at our school, and I imagine this is across the board, that boundaries and personal space is something that kids have kind of forgotten, because at home it doesn't matter. There's boundaries of personal space aren't necessarily a big issue, because you can lay on the couch with your brother, or you can, sit on mommy's lap while you're taking your classes, or you can lay backwards on your chair and do whatever it is you're doing. Whereas those things at school aren't necessarily things that work when you have a whole classroom of children, especially the little ones, these elementary age kids. So seating is important, and knowing placing where to place your students. So something I've been very mindful of this year is, first of all, I am keeping a seating chart, and I base the seating chart off of their classroom teacher seating chart, and it's something I discuss with the teachers if I have issues or if I think something's not working in my classroom. Usually it's not working in their classroom, and the teacher has changed her seating chart as well, and I just need to make that change in my classroom to something that works. So keeping that in mind, that we have 4 students who are doing say they're doing their mainstreaming. They don't spend the whole day with the gen ed class. So these special needs students are pushing in for enhancement. So seating is important, and where they sit in the classroom. So it's important to know their accommodations. Do they have preferential seating, and what does preferential seating look like in your classroom, and what does it look like in my classroom? It might be different in the media center than it is in the art room, and it might be different in the art room than it is in their gen ed or in their self-contained classroom, and in their gen ed classroom. So it's important to keep that in mind, like knowing what their needs are. Do they need to sit close to the smartboard so that they can see it, or do they need to sit with their back turned sideways? Can they hear better out of a right ear or a left ear? Do they need to sit with that ear closest to me? So those are a lot of things to consider and to think about in your seating of students when you're with students with special needs. Being flexible in those seating options is important as well. So I do not mind in my classroom if students stand up to work. I am perfectly fine with that. But when I am teaching and giving instruction, my expectation is that they are sitting down. And it's the same for my students with special needs. They are expected to sit down and wait for instruction. Now, granted, my instruction time is generally shorter when I am doing my inclusion setting classes, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. But just know that being flexible is important no matter what. And again, what's best for the students is always the most important thing to consider. When you have students who are mainstreaming or doing inclusion setting, a peer buddy is an absolute must for helping them be successful. Having a peer buddy gives them a friend to introduce them to the other classmates. Having a peer buddy gives them somebody that they can ask questions of, and that it feels they don't feel as if they have to ask the teacher every time giving the peer buddy, even we have students at Rocky River who push in mainstream with gen ed classes who are nonverbal. They do not have the words to speak. Some have augmentative communication devices. Some have no devices. But having a peer buddy gives them somebody who learns to understand them, learns to help them use their communication devices, learns to understand and anticipate their needs and their wants and what they are trying to communicate to me and to the other students, and just really helps bridge that gap, not only for learning, but for socialization and for making friends, which is so very essential part of life. Having people in your circle that you can rely on, and a peer buddy really helps with that. Peer buddy also is a huge help for modeling and showing expectations. This is how we walk into the room. This is how we go to our table. This is what the PE teachers tell me to do. This is what this is supposed to look like. This is how, when the music teacher's telling me to play a steady beat, this is what a steady beat looks like. And having a peer buddy to teach and to model those things for a child with special needs is super helpful. Movement opportunities, again, I mentioned that with my seating, I don't require the kids to sit down when they're working, and I think this is good for all kids, that they need to be able to move and to stretch and to stand and to work and to get input in their feet. Students with sensory needs a lot of times need a harder to push on something. They need to hold something heavier. They need to stand and bang their feet so that they can get that sensory input to be able to work. So movement opportunities is not something that should be reserved just for students with an IEP or a 504. I believe it's important for students of all developmental abilities to have those movement opportunities. I saw a meme when I was preparing for this presentation that said, if your bum is numb, so is your brain. And I totally believe that. It's true for all of us. Chunking instructions is another important part of working with students with special needs, is breaking things down into one-step directions or even half-step directions. So it might be that you tell them, get your pencil, stand on this line, pick up your instrument, or walk here, then pick up your instrument, then. So I imagine you guys have all seen the if, then, or when, then, when you do this, then you do this. First you do this, then you get this. The wording is different. It's fairly consistent, but some children need to hear different wording for that. But breaking down the instructions so that our students with special needs can understand them and can follow them and be successful, it is the goal for chunking them. And then rinse and repeat. Always know that it's not necessarily going to sing in the first time with our gen ed students or our students with special needs, but especially being patient and knowing that you may have to repeat those same directions 4, 5, 6 times to be sure the children understand. And then you can also refer back to that peer buddy that you've assigned, that's somebody who can help explain those directions. And when we have our self-contained classes come in, of course, we have the teachers and assistants to help us repeat directions to the children as they need them. Some children may need them, again, chunked and broken down into single step. They may need hand over hand, but that is, again, different for each child and what their needs are going to be.